Hi guys, it's Carmen here from Tiny Adventures, and today we are going to take you for a visit into a tiny house. We're in Cape Breton right now, and we're renting this tiny house called Tiny from Judy Pratt and Nicky Judy. So follow me and we'll have a look inside.
Hi, I'm Judy Pratt. And I'm Nicky Judy, and this is Tiny.
Sitting in the loft bed. As you can see, my head doesn't even touch the ceiling, which is really great. And in front of me is the special feature in this tiny house, a doggy elevator. Does that look good, Max?
I think so.
Yeah, you guys are centered too. Perfect. What made you guys want to live in a tiny house, or what made you become interested in tiny houses?
We became interested just out of curiosity, I think. And then we came to a point in our lives a number of years ago where Judy was already retired. I was working way too many hours. And so we weren't spending very much time together, and I wasn't happy in my job. And so we tend to have a lot of meaning of life conversations on a daily basis, and so we had a long conversation about, is this what we want our lives to look like right now? And the answer was no. And so we tried to we brainstormed all kinds of different ways that we could take paid work out of the center of our lives so that I could work less, and put our priorities back into the center of our lives. And for us, our priorities are our relationships with ourselves, with each other, with our friends and family, with the natural world.
I grew up in the time when people were sort of going back to the land, and I was a kind of a back to the lander, and I'd actually lived in 12 feet by 12 feet with my then partner and a dog and a dozen cats. No. But I'd kind of forgotten about it. It was so long ago. And when we were out in California, I was actually in the loft of that tumbleweed house, and I'm looking down at Nicky, and we're talking about, could we do this or could we not? And I had this like memory of course I can do this. I already did. I know I could live in a tiny house with another person because I've done it. And that was off grid. So and it was in Massachusetts. So it was in the same climate. And that's one of the things about tiny houses, is that a lot of the ones that you see online are in pretty warm climates, in places that you don't have to deal with the same kinds of things that you have to deal with when you live in northern climates in North America.
What's the one feature that you couldn't live without in regards to like the house size, the structure, the materials that were used, like more in regards to how the home was built?
Or utilities,
or utilities, yeah.
Like your heat exchange or things like that.
Well, that's a good question. A number of things come to mind, and I know that you asked for one, so you get to choose which one. I would say one of the most important things for us is natural light. We didn't want in any way to feel confined. So we have 17 windows, which means we gave up a fair bit of wall space in terms of art, for example. But I don't think that we would trade our windows for anything.
I would say one of the things that we decided was really important to us was that it felt both beautiful and cozy. And so it's not a system. It's a feeling. And we wanted to be able to come in here and feel held and nourished and relaxed, and not squished. And we have all of that.
I think you've accomplished that well
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only other thing I'd say is that I do have chemical sensitivities, which is why we have NHRV, that we call Tiny's nose. But also, so we did use as non-toxic materials as we could. So any plywood, for example, that was on the inside of the house is formaldehyde free, whereas on the outside of the house it's just normal plywood. So those kind of features and non-toxic building materials are important to me just because of who I am, but that might not be somebody else's priority.
I also think it's a big question that you asked, actually, and we really wanted to use as much sustainable and local wood and other products, or things that were made by people. We didn't necessarily want to go to Home Depot. Like, a lot of the people who have come to visit us are really interested in price. How cheaply can you do
Right.
this? And that wasn't our question.
Right. It's a fair question, but it just
Right.
wasn't ours.
Yeah,
I mean, we did have a budget, that's for sure.
right.
And there are some ways, certainly, especially considering the kinds of materials that we use for my chemical sensitivities, that you could have built Tiny more cheaply. But don't believe those things that you see online that says you can build a tiny house
No,
for
that's
$15,000
American
in this
climate.
climate,
Yeah, yeah, I
right?
know.
But, and I mean, like, you're going to build your own, so you're it's time versus
Yes,
money,
yes.
right?
Well, it's time plus money.
Yes. If there was one thing you could change about the house, more windows.
No, no, the windows are good.
I think because we took so much time to design Tiny that we really love every aspect of her. I mean, even see those stones underneath the hearth. Those are all stones that we collected from all over the world. And actually, one day we were getting rid of 2/3 of what we owned, and I was tossing them back into the ocean. And then I thought, wait, I can use those. You know. I got one, I guess, really small thing. What I said about the couch, if there was a way to have it an inch lower and 2 inches wider, but we're not willing to give up that space in the other areas. Same thing with the sink. The cabinet that the sink is in is reused, repurposed wood from it was a dresser drawer cabinet that was broken. And I do think there's space to do this. I would make it 1 inch wider, so because it's really hard to get behind the water gets behind the tap in the wall, and it's
Can't
really
get
hard
quite
to
away.
get in there if there's another inch. And that would be fine in there, you know, to lose that inch. But really, other than that, we're and even that, you know, we're just totally happy. Which I think the key is to take the time to design for you, and
Right.
for you in terms of who you are now, not who you were or what your values were 10 years ago or what they might be 10 years from now, but really who you are now.
Okay.
Something that I would really like to do is work from home, and I'm worried about separating work from being at home all the time, and it's like that in any house, but I think in a tiny house it's even harder because you don't have an office to go to separate work from the rest of the house.
But I do have an office, and here it is, right here with my nice office view. And seriously, the placement of this window makes me feel like this is my office. Again, Judy is on the couch doing her thing, not paying attention to her until it's lunchtime, and then we both go into the kitchen to make lunch. But it's an attitude thing. It's not very different from in a regular size home. It really is. Even in a regular size home, you have to be willing to close that door to the office and not pay attention to what else needs to be done or going on. It's the same thing here.
Well, the other thing that I think that we both are really conscious of is in any space, it's easy to come in the door and drop stuff. Well, stuff can't go there. It just can't.
You can't drop it. It's got to go where it belongs.
There's something about respecting that that's the office space.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
That I think it helps create an energy that this is separate.
But you know, the standing desk, I would recommend it. We had our builder Matt build us this portable collapsible standing desk. So your camera can reach over here, so I'll do it over here.
Okay, I was gonna say you can move the angle there.
Look at
There you
that.
go. So you just we put it over here,
The wires go. That's genius.
Isn't that cool?
and then when we don't need it, we just fold it up like it was and stash it under there.
Do you have any other questions before we finally let them
No.
go?
Thanks for doing this too.
Yeah,
Oh,
thank
you're
you so
welcome.
much.
You are welcome. Let us know when you.
And if you have questions, ever.
Yeah.
Just ask.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, I seen the pegs. What are they for? Like that.
To keep it
That's
together.
Awesome.
Pegs
And
are
it
for that,
also-
yeah, and the
it
holes
keeps
are
it
just
from-
for the
Yeah.
heat to disperse, underneath. And there you go.
I like those.
What is it?
Finish mark. Matt did a good job.
Yeah, he really did.
See ya. Stop soliciting paddleboard.